I stepped back, my mind racing. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was strategic. Olivia wasn't apologizing, she wasn't even ashamed. She had planned this, every detail, and now she was flipping the script, painting me as the villain. I scoffed, shaking my head. This is pathetic. Olivia folded her arms, tilting her chin upward. You're unstable, Nathan. Always suspicious. Always looking for a reason to start a fight. Her lover, this smug, arrogant bastard, chuckled. She told me you had anger issues. My fists curled at my sides. I wanted to knock that smirk off his face, but I could already see the trap. If I reacted, they'd have ammunition against me. I exhaled sharply. You think you can set me up? Frame me as some abusive husband? Olivia smiled, slow, deliberate, condescending. You've always had a temper. It wouldn't be hard to convince people. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't just cheating. This was a setup. She was planting the seeds, twisting reality to suit her narrative. I took another step back, refusing to give her what she wanted. Why? My voice was hoarse, barely above a whisper. Why go this far? She shrugged as if the answer was obvious. Because I'm done, and I don't want a messy divorce. I swallowed hard. So what? You destroy me instead? She didn't deny it. Instead, she walked over to her nightstand, picking up her phone. A casual gesture, but I knew better. You should leave, Nathan, she said, her thumb hovering over the screen. Before I have to call the cops. Disbelief crashed over me. You're really doing this? The man behind her chuckled again. You heard the lady. Get lost. I turned, my mind spinning. If I stayed, she'd claim I was threatening her. If I left, she'd spin a different tale. Either way, I was the villain in her story. I forced myself to keep walking. Past the doorway, down the hall. Each step felt heavier than the last. By the time I reached the front door, dread settled deep in my chest. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Jail was a nightmare. The moment the cell door clanged shut behind me, reality set in like a vice around my throat. Olivia had won. For now. Sitting on the cold bench, I replayed everything in my head. The smirk on her lover's face. The fake bruises she'd shown the police. The way she had orchestrated every move to ensure I fell right into her trap. I wanted to scream, but what good would that do? My only focus now was survival. If I didn't fight back, she'd bury me alive. Morning came, and with it, a gruff officer leading me into the interrogation room. The detective across from me had tired eyes, the kind that had seen too many men like me. Angry, desperate, pleading innocence. You know why you're here, Nathan? His voice was calm, but I sensed the judgment underneath. I nodded, jaw tight. Because my wife is a liar. His brow arched. She filed a restraining order this morning, claims she's terrified you'll come after her. I leaned forward. That's exactly what she wants you to believe. The detective sighed. Her injuries say otherwise. I scoffed. She faked them. He slid a folder across the table. I hesitated before opening it, my stomach churning. The photos inside showed Olivia with a bruised wrist, a split lip, and red marks across her neck. A sickeningly convincing performance. She claims this wasn't the first time, he continued. Says she stayed quiet out of fear. I clenched my teeth. And you believe her? He shrugged. A jury might. Panic swelled in my chest. If this went to trial, I was done. Olivia had stacked the deck perfectly, but why? Divorce would have been easier. Why frame me for abuse? Then it hit me. Money. I sat back, inhaling sharply. Did she say anything about life insurance? The detective frowned. What? I leaned in. Check my records. I bet she increased my policy in the last few months. Doubt flickered across his face. It was small, but it was there. Hours later, my lawyer finally showed up. "You're in deep, Nathan," he muttered, dropping a pile of papers onto the table. "I didn't do this," I said through gritted teeth. He sighed. "Then we need proof." I nodded. "Then we get proof." Because Olivia wasn't just trying to ruin me. She was planning something much worse. And I was going to stop her. Liam worked fast. He had always been resourceful, but now, with my entire life at stake, he operated like a man possessed. Each day in jail felt like an eternity, but when he finally returned with the flash drive in his pocket, I knew the tide was turning. He slid it across the table during visiting hours, his expression grim. "Nathan, she's not just trying to ruin you. She's setting up your exit permanently." I swallowed hard. "Tell me everything." Liam leaned in, voice low. "You were right about the insurance. She increased your policy 6 months ago, payout in the millions. But that's not even the worst part. She's been meeting with a guy, not the one she cheated with, someone worse." My hands curled into fists. "Who?" "A fixer," Liam said, his tone laced with disgust. "This guy erases problems, people who become inconvenient." Cold sweat broke out along my spine. Olivia wasn't just trying to frame me. She was planning to have me killed. Probably after I got out, once the world believed I was a broken man with nowhere to go. She'd stage a suicide, cash in, and move on. I gritted my teeth. "We need to go public," Liam smirked. "Already ahead of you." The flash drive contained everything. Video footage of Olivia checking into hotels with her lover, bank transfers to shady accounts, recordings of her meetings with her fixer. It was damning. My lawyer nearly dropped his coffee when he saw it. "Jesus Christ, Nathan." He looked at me, wide-eyed. "This isn't just about clearing your name anymore. This is attempted murder." By the time we stepped into the courtroom for my retrial, I was ready. Olivia sat at the witness stand, dressed in white, looking every bit the grieving wife of an abusive husband. She barely flinched when the prosecution called her forward. "Mrs. Carter," my lawyer began, "would you say you were faithful to your husband?" Olivia put on her best performance, her voice soft, wavering. "I loved Nathan, but he changed." She sniffled, wiping a fake tear. "I was scared." That was my cue. My lawyer pressed a button on the projector. The first video played, Olivia laughing in a hotel room, kissing the man she had framed me for attacking her over. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. She stiffened. This is taken out of context." The second clip played. Olivia, sitting across from the fixer, her voice crystal clear. "He needs to disappear. I don't care how it's done." The courtroom exploded. Her lawyer paled. The judge slammed the gavel, demanding order. Olivia's face drained of color. "Nathan Carter," the judge declared, "you are cleared of all charges." And just like that, the woman who tried to destroy me was the one falling apart. Olivia's scream echoed through the courtroom as officers moved in. She thrashed, her polished facade cracking like glass. "This is a lie. He set me up. Nathan did this." Her desperate cries meant nothing now. The judge's gavel slammed down. Order had been restored, but her world was crumbling. I exhaled, feeling the weight lift from my shoulders. Months of pain, betrayal, and manipulation were finally unraveling in front of her eyes. But I wasn't done yet. As the officers cuffed her, her gaze snapped to me, filled with venom. "You think you've won?" she hissed. I stepped closer, lowering my voice just enough so only she could hear. "No, Olivia, I didn't win. I survived." Her lip curled, fury burning behind those once alluring eyes. But for the first time, she realized she had lost. The moment they dragged her away, the courtroom erupted into chaos. Reporters scrambled to capture every second. My lawyer patted my back. "That was one hell of a comeback." I barely nodded, my eyes locked on the courtroom doors. The battle was over, but the damage she had inflicted still lingered. Outside, Liam was waiting, arms crossed. "Told you we'd get her." I smirked, exhaustion creeping in. "And you doubted me?" He chuckled. "Hell no, but what now?" Now, that was the real question. Olivia was going to prison, her reputation destroyed. But was it enough? Not yet. 2 weeks later, I stood in front of the prison's visitation room, the cold metal phone pressed against my ear. Olivia sat across from me, dressed in orange, her hair no longer pristine, dark circles marring her once perfect complexion. "You've got some nerve coming here," she spat. I leaned back, smirking. "I wanted to see how life behind bars suits you." Her eyes darkened. "Don't get comfortable, Nathan. I'll find a way out." I tisked, shaking my head. "No, you won't." I slid a folder onto the table, watching her eyes flicker with confusion. "You made one mistake, Olivia. You got greedy." She hesitated, then opened the file. Inside were signed documents, her lover's confession, the fixer's plea deal, proof of her offshore accounts, every dirty little secret she thought she had buried. Her lips parted in shock. "You?" I leaned in, my voice calm, almost gentle. "You're not just facing fraud and conspiracy, Olivia. You're looking at 20 years. No parole." Her breath hitched, panic flashing across her face. I smirked, standing up. "Enjoy your new home." As I walked away, I didn't look back. The past was behind me, exactly where it belonged. And Olivia, she was finally paying for every lie, every betrayal. Justice was served, and I was free.